Okay, in this video we're going to look at the algebraic concept called adding like terms. To begin with on this video we need to understand what it means to be a like term. And a term in algebra always refers to a product, important thing product. We don't do sums when we talk about terms. But it's always a product of numbers and variables. So here are some examples. A number itself is a term. So 3 is considered a term. 3x is your most basic kind of term. It's just a number 3 times a variable x. But they can get much more complicated than that. For instance, 2x cubed y is a single term. A times b times c times d times e times f is a single term. 12x to the 10th, y to the 11th, z to the 12th is a single term. It's all, a term begins with a number or num number and ends when the multiplication is over. Okay? Like terms, terms are two terms that have identical variables with identical exponents. They have to be exactly the same. And so 2xy, 3xy are like terms. They have the same variables, x and y, and both of them have a 1 as an exponent. 5x squared y cubed, 7x squared y cubed. Those are like terms because they both, 5x squared y cubed and 7x squared y cubed, have x and y as the variable, and then the exponent on both of them is the same. The last one, 7abc squared and 3abc, are not like terms because even though their variables are the same, the c has a different exponent, thus they are not like terms. And the reason we worry so much about like terms is because we want to add like terms. And the way that we add like terms is we do that by adding their coefficients. Now I do want you to point out two terms can only be added together if they are like terms. And then remember, a coefficient, if you don't know that word, is just the number part of a term. So like in 7abc squared, 7 is considered the coefficient. Okay, so let's look at a couple examples here. Our first example, 3x plus 5y plus 6x minus 2y. Well, we identify the different kinds of terms. The first term is the terms that have the variable x, 3x and 6x. 3x plus 6x just equals 9x. So we can add those together because we add their coefficients, the 3 plus the 9. Then, and so I like to cross those out just so I don't mess around with them anymore in the problem. And then I look for the next kind of term, which in this case is a y. And so I do 5y. Now the minus there does get applied to the 2, so it's like plus a negative 2. So 5y plus a negative 2 is just a positive 3y. And so the answer to this question is 9x plus 3y. Example 2, now we've kind of thrown some variables in there. So we look for our first kind of, and I usually just start at the beginning. I've got some x squared terms. And so 4x squared plus 3x squared is just 7x squared. I cannot add that with the x term because even though it's the same variable, it's a different exponent. So 3x squared and 5x are not considered like terms. And then I look for the next type of term, so that one's gone. I see y's. I got 12y, or 2y, and negative 12y. Remember, the negative is with the 12, so it's going to be 2 plus a negative 12, which would give you a negative 10. So you can either write it as plus a negative 10y or minus 10. And then finally, the only one left is the 5x, and it's a term unto itself, but it doesn't have anything like, so you just recopy the 5x down. So the answer is 7x squared minus 10y plus 5x. Example 3, we look for like terms. This can just get a little confusing in your head. Start with AB's, and I've got 2AB. Do I have any other AB's? I don't, and so I just write 2AB down. So that one didn't have any like terms. I look for BC's. I've got a 5BC here and a 2BC there, and so I can add those two together to get 7BC. And then the last two terms are AC terms. And so 8AC plus 9AC is just 17AC. Another very common place that we worry about adding like terms are problems that look like this. These are what we call polynomials. All of these things are, and this is a very common type of polynomial where you have some x's where the exponents go in descending order. And so this is really like having two polynomials here. But you just add like terms like anything else. So you start with the x cubed, and so you've got 3x cubed and a negative 5x cubed. And so 3x cubed minus 5x cubed is 3 minus 5, which would give you negative 2x cubed. Then you look for x squared terms. I only have the 2x squared, so I'm going to do plus 2x squared. I have no other x squareds. I look for the x's. I've got negative 3x and a negative 5x. They're both negative, so I add, and so that's going to give me a negative 8x. And then finally, I'm just left with the terms that have no variables, which we call constants. And so 1 plus 3 is going to give me 4. So negative 2x cubed plus 2x squared minus 8x plus 4 is the correct answer.